Hello, I'm Heather Harbin with your SCV NewsBreak for Tuesday, April 12th. A man is dead after being struck by a car on Sierra Highway near the College of the Canyons Canyon Country campus Monday night. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene of the single-vehicle collision. Lieutenant Brian Aguilera with the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff's Station says the driver of the vehicle stopped immediately and he was cooperative with law enforcement at the time of the crash. No charges have been brought against the driver. The Santa Clarita Valley's first rabid bat of 2016 was found this month on the ground outside of a residential garage in Castaic. SCV was home to more than half of the rabid bats identified in Los Angeles County last year, but the Castaic case was the county's fourth of 2016. There has been a dramatic increase in the number of rabies cases across the county over the past 5 years, and public health officials don't know why. All carriers have been bats, but less than 1% of bats have rabies. But if you see a bat flying during the daytime, or bothering a small child or family pet, or flopping around on the ground or dead, don't pick it up. Call the Castaic Animal Shelter at 661-257-3191. Coming up, learn about the Finish the Ride event, plus Saugus High School students meet women in history. Stay tuned.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Hey George, there's breaking news.
AM 1220 KHTS. I'm George Cummings with breaking news here in the Santa Clarita Valley. As it turns out, we have an emergency situation going on.
Ready in 5, 4. Breaking news from the Santa Clarita Valley. There's an emergency situation happening in Saugus right now, and our news crew is on the scene with more information.
Welcome back. I'm Heather Harbin. Saugus High School students met with Women in History on Tuesday morning. With March being Women in History Month, the students and teachers continue to honor the legacy these women created, which inspires so many today.
American Association of University of Women is who sponsors Women in History. It has been running in this valley with elementary school students for approximately 25 years. We've only been doing it at Saugus for 9 years. We're the only high school in Southern California that participates in Women in History.
I kept my promise, don't keep your distance. This is a verse from a well-known musical, Evita, written about my life by famed composer Andrew Lloyd Webber. My name is Ava Perón. I was born in 1919, and I grew up to be the first First Lady of Argentina.
Now let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born Frida Josephine McDonald in St. Louis, Missouri on June 3rd, 1906. My mother, Carrie, was graceful, tall, and impeccably bright. She was the first in her family to learn to read and write, so naturally her parents wanted her to be either a department store worker or a school teacher. But my mother, she had a wild streak of her own.
I'm Margaret Mitchell, nicknamed Peggy, and I'm the author of Gone with the Wind. I was born November 8th, 1900, a child of a new century, like many of you are. My parents loved history, and they taught me to be proud of my Southern heritage. We called the Civil War the War of Northern Aggression, and I was your age before I found out that the South did not win.
And that was the year that I was voted Player of the Year by the managers. And that was special to me because the managers on our teams were from the major leagues. These guys were major league scouts, coaches, you name it. They knew baseball inside and out, and they thought enough of my talent to name me Player of the Year. And that's something I never forgot. It was one of the proudest moments of my life.
On December of 1967, the Special Olympics became incorporated, and it became a non-profit charitable organization. Again, a moment that made my heart grow beyond belief. I continued to be on the board of directors throughout my life, but as I got older, I began to slow down and the Special Olympics grew by leaps and bounds that I had no idea. To this day, 4.5 million people celebrate and participate in Special Olympics on a daily basis.
We were already going down in history as first all-woman team to reach the South Pole on foot, and I was the first woman to do both poles. 2 years later, I was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. With hard work and perseverance, you can do anything, like I crossed the North, South, and North Pole. Thank you.
The purpose of this is to make women a part of history, to make history gender neutral, because so many women have done so many important, wonderful things that have been so overlooked. From the founder of Special Olympics being Eunice Kennedy Shriver, to one of the first persons to explore both the North and the South Pole, Anne Bancroft. When you think of an explorer, you immediately think of a man. When you think of a founder, you usually think of a man. And so we want to change that a little by little and let people know that history is gender neutral, that women have an incredible presence in history and today.
Finish the Ride is a cycling event to create awareness about making the community safer for pedestrians, bicyclists, and motor vehicles. By participating, the event helps the Streets Are For Everyone organization raise awareness about hit-and-run crimes. Cyclist Damian Kevitt founded the Finish the Ride after surviving a horrifying crash. SCV TV sat down with Kevitt and Forged by Fire founder Kevin Corinthal.
I started the organization 3 years ago, essentially, or it started me, you could say, about 3 years ago when I was hit in Griffith Park and dragged underneath a car about a quarter mile from the streets onto and down the 5 freeway. I lived, but I lost my right leg and nearly my life. After 4 months in the hospital and 11 surgeries, I walked out of the hospital, got back on my bicycle, and was bound and determined to literally finish the ride. That's grown into an event that's now in its 3rd year, my own nonprofit, which is called Streets Are For Everyone, which focuses on street safety for pedestrians and cyclists. And we have aspects where we help to support victims of traumatic injury from traffic collisions, as well as raising awareness, as well as working with government to improve policy points and education. The message of street safety is multifaceted. There's no single golden magic bullet that will handle street safety.
We are co-sponsoring Finish the Ride Santa Clarita, which is an event that's been held successfully in Woodley Park and in Griffith Park, so that we could bring our own flavor and supporters and our message to an event that's branded both with the Finish the Ride, Streets Are For Everyone, but also with the message of recovery from injury. The message of Forged by Fire Foundation, which stems from my own experience with traumatic injury. I was hit while riding my bicycle in the canyons above Santa Clarita. I was hit by a distracted driver at about 40 miles an hour going the opposite direction, was hospitalized for a month. One of the reasons that I recovered as well as I did, I was already an athlete. When I was recovering from this injury, I looked at it not as recovering from an injury, but training my way out of that injury. And we really want to push that message, especially here at Finish the Ride Santa Clarita, because we know that there's a likelihood that folks that come out to this event, one day or another, they may find themselves, in a hospital bed, thinking about how they're going to recover from a serious injury. The message is activity and really taking the time to think on what works great for you and for your recovery. Training out of an injury rather than simply doing what the physical therapist needs you to do. We're going to have a number of different events. As Damien pointed out, this is the only event of its kind that allows runners, riders, rollers, all to come to one place on one day for an event. Staggered at different times throughout the morning on April 30th will be a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, as well as a 2K family walk. Is it 2K?
A 2K family walk and roll, and then we have an easy 25-mile bike ride for those who are less experienced and want to just have a good time and ride and be safe riding. It's a very safe ride.
On our bike paths.
Yeah. Which Santa Clarita does have some really gorgeous bike paths here, and it's going to be a gorgeous time of year. April 30th, of course, is beautiful. It's not too hot, It's not, it's not freezing cold. And then we've got, Kevin, tell them about our long ride for those real hardcore riders.
Yeah, so Santa Clarita, which is actually an area that a lot of people know as part of the Amgen Tour of California, provides some of the most scenic and challenging road bicycle riding anywhere in Southern California. And we're very proud to be putting together a metric century course, which is a little over 60 miles. I believe this course has about 4,000 feet of vertical climbing, which this is not the type of ride that a beginner would want to be involved in. But there's a lot of great bicycle clubs in Southern California that just live for these types of rides. They'll be chip timed, so they'll be able to go back with their actual finishing time. All of the courses, and the running courses and the cycling courses, are supported. So there's going to be water along those courses and aid wherever it's needed, so that folks can go out there feeling secure that they got a great team of volunteers backing them up for some very scenic riding and running and rolling and walking.
It's not necessarily having to re-engineer the entire city, it's doing what's right. And that is the message of Finish the Ride, is doing what's right. It's doing what's right after, if you're surviving a traumatic injury and getting back up and not dying and just going on to drugs and deciding that you'll never live a happy life again. It's getting back up, like what Kevin did and what I did, where we almost lost our lives, but we're like, we're not going to let that get us down, and we're going to move on, and we're going to finish the ride. You know what I mean? That is the message. It's also doing what's right on the streets. As a cyclist, it's riding responsibly. As a pedestrian, it's crossing streets responsibly. As a car, it's not doing distracted driving and not doing drugs while you're driving. All of those things are doing what's right, and that's the message of this great event that's coming up on the 30th of April, and it's something that we would love everyone to join us for, because it's an awesome time and it's a great cause.
Now turning to weather. Tuesday was sunny and stayed in the low 70s. Tuesday night is expected to drop into the low 50s. Wednesday is expected to be mostly sunny with a high of 75 and a low of 50. The rest of the week is expected to be sunny and stay in the low 70s. That's all for your SCV News Break. For more local news, you can log on to hometownstation.com or scvnews.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Heather Harbin.